Thanks for tuning in to the second part of our interview. If you haven't seen part one, you may want to check that out first. Enjoy the show.
All right, Martine, what do you got?
If it's like a personal thing, I really like sparring too. I like going out there, especially in like other states, just going against people you've never met before. I think that's really fun. For the students and for everybody else involved, I really like seeing the kids recognize their own hard work. You know, like the adults too, but adults understand hard work a little bit better.
Yeah,
The kids between like ages of 5 and 12 and even in the teens sometimes, like when they go out there and they realize that everything we were doing was for a reason and we were preparing you for a moment, like that is way more satisfying to me. And the parents just like having that look of like proudness on their face for their kids, like that there's no currency for the job you do like seeing people that are happy with the results that they've gotten out of it.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Like
no, absolutely, it makes sense.
that's the coolest part to me, is seeing just the parents and the kids all be happy about like the hard work, you know, and the kids who don't end up winning anything, like seeing those kids like fall off the horse and having to get back on it the next year and figure out, or the next tournament cycle and figure out like, okay, I got to fix some things.
Yeah, well, like you said, I mean, it really shows and it highlights the kids or students that put work into it versus just show up.
Right.
It's like you get what you get out of it.
I think society's gone so close to just show up too and like participate and you'll win, that the tournaments that we do are just in anywhere really. Like tournaments are so good for kids because especially in martial arts, it's not a team-based thing. In basketball, you can blame a block not happening because the center wasn't there.
Exactly.
Or in soccer, the goalie was lax and he was just hanging out, you know. But in martial arts, it's all you. The form's all you. The sparring's all you.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
what can you do? And I think that's the coolest part about it, is it teaches these kids, like, you got to have some, like, you.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about you.
Whether it's good or bad, it's your fault.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
And, yeah, that's one of those things to where a lot of these kids will show up and they'll just be like, well, I just got to show up and I'll win. No, that's wrong.
Right.
And then you have to, the parents will explain to them, or at least good parents will be like, you didn't practice. Like, you didn't deserve to win. And it's like, yeah, that's right. Did you practice? No. Well, like, well, then what'd you expect, dude?
Right.
Like, this kid put 10 hours of practice in him for this, so he's 10 times better than you right now.
Hey, and there's sometimes the kids, they've been practicing hard and they go up against somebody who's just better.
Yep.
That's
and
all.
That'll just tell you that is one of the biggest things that you can learn, is even though you did your absolute best, there's somebody out there that can probably do it better.
Right.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing. That just means they did it better than you right there.
You know, I was having a hard time with one of my kids because he just tested for his brown belt, you know, and so he's going into a different division, obviously. You know, he's about, I think he's 11 years old, but he's going into a new area he's never been before, and he doesn't want to go to the tournament, you know. And so we told him, like, I told his dad, I was like, he shouldn't be scared of going. He should be excited to figure out these things that are going to be happening now with a different group of people. Like, that's going against brown belts is a little different than anything else. Yeah, and black belts are a whole other level than that.
Yeah, for real.
You know, so.
Yeah. What about you, Nick? What do you got?
It's two sides to it. So there's the student aspect of it. So I think it's just preparing them to do something, and you're excited for the results as long as they hopefully practice. And then for the instructor side, I honestly like going out there and trying to perfect a form and going out there and doing a form. I think it's really fun to do stuff because I think our forms are actually pretty sweet.
Yeah, I agree. We got some pretty killer stuff.
And but since my health's been better and my back's been feeling better, I actually get more into the sparring. So I'd say both.
Yeah, just you like the competing.
Yeah.
Obviously, every instructor is going to be like, "Dude, I love competing." And if you're an instructor and you're like, "I don't like competing," then you need to shut the hell up and find an exam.
You can't push people to go to a tournament if you're not down to get in a tournament.
Exactly. So it's one of those things to where it's like, yeah, you should love to go and compete and this and that.
And our tournaments, you know, they run really well.
Yeah,
I'd say I wouldn't like tournaments if it was like, other tournaments.
Yeah, honestly, other tournaments are they're getting better with Vegas. Vegas is getting better. Orange County's getting better. They're all getting better. But man, they were a nightmare.
Yeah, I don't have 8 hours to just wait around. And,
There's a whole at some tournaments you're there a whole work day, and you're just looking at it like.
But ours are smooth, 4 or 5 hours, and then
they run well.
Mm-hmm.
Like
a lot of participation.
99% of the people that go have a good time.
Oh yeah.
The people that don't have a good time, I mean, sometimes they have a legitimate argument, sometimes they don't. Like, for example, last tournament, I had a student come up to me. His dad came up to me. And to his credit, his dad was very calm, very nice. And they brought up something that we're working on now, which is the whole, like, dude, he's like, hey, can I talk to you about something real quick? I go, yeah, what's up? He goes, okay, this is Dean's second tournament. He's lost his first match in both tournaments, and his tournament experience is over after 10 seconds. And I was like, yeah, that sucks. And he goes, and what makes it worse is he sparred the same kid the first round 2 tournaments in a row. I go, well, that's an anomaly, and we can't fix that because we have no idea who he sparred last tournament. So the fact that he sparred the same kid was kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's
that's
destiny.
Yeah, exactly. But the fact that it's like he didn't really feel like he had a tournament experience because he got up there for 30 seconds, lost a match, and then he's done. It's like, you're right, that sucks. Like, we need to fix that, and that's something we're going to be implementing this year at this tournament, is that whole, like, they get at least 2 matches. Win or lose, they get at least 2 matches. Why? So they have at least something to talk about. Okay? But majority of the time when people are upset, it's something that wasn't either happening or they were upset with something else and it just happened to manifest at the tournament. So, yeah, no,
Yeah, and
I agree.
I think the tournament's good, especially nowadays, because it's getting people to be a little, have that competitive spirit, and then sparring, because lately sparring's been always a hot button for kids, because they'd just rather be home.
Yeah. Well, and you get a lot of parents that are like, they don't want to see their kid lose, they don't want to see their kid get hit, like all this nonsense of like trying to shelter them to the point to where it's like, that's not reality. Okay, your kid's gonna lose at something. Your kid's going to get hit at some point. Okay, you got to, I don't want to say accept that fact, but understand that that's a realm of possibility that will happen at some point in his life. Okay, do you want him to experience that when he's young and you can teach and coach him how to deal with it?
Like, you're not going to be able to control that. I mean, he's got to be able to control how he reacts to it.
Exactly. Or do you want to shelter him and give him a trophy anyways, and then when he's 21 and doesn't get a job promotion that he thought he was going to get, he freaks out, quits, and then now he's homeless. It's one of those things to where you have to experience those things when you're younger so you know how to deal with them when you're an adult, truthfully. So
martial arts is such a beautiful thing, man. Like I've told many people this before. I really wish that martial arts was like a subject that you had to learn in school.
Yeah.
I really wish, because there's so many like lessons in martial arts, as long as you, like, I guess it's with anything, as long as you have the right instructor that'll like teach you these things like winning and losing and how to deal with the loss, how to deal with the win. That's something else people don't know how to do, is deal with the win.
Yeah.
Like winning as its whole other animal. Like you have to know how to lose and know how to win. That doesn't mean you're a loser or a winner. That just means you know how to take both. Just the discipline of martial arts. It's such a beautiful thing. Like martial arts is crazy to me. It's the coolest thing ever.
That's really a good thing to say, because truthfully, it's one of those things, or at least I try to preach here when we're dealing with all the kids. It's like, dude, I don't really care if you win or lose. Right. Do I want you to win? Hell yeah, I want you to win, because I want you to like see the labor of your hard work. I go, but I want you to compete. It's like, if you compete and you lose, there's nothing to be ashamed about that.
Right.
But if you don't compete and you lose, dude, you suck. It's like
what it is, man.
Yeah, it's like you were too scared to put yourself out there, so you're like, well, I'm not gonna try hard. Then I have an excuse of why I didn't win. It's like, no, that's not how it goes here. It's like, you go compete. If you lose and you competed and you tried your best and you practiced, there's nothing to be ashamed about that. It's like, if you went and lost and got your ass kicked and you didn't practice, well, that's your fault. Like, that, you knew exactly what was going to happen. That'd be like, I'm telling you, it's like, Eddie, you're going to have a spelling test in 3 days. Here are the list of the words. And all of a sudden you're like, okay, whatever. And you don't study and you get an F. Well, it's like, well, I told you exactly what you need to know. Why didn't you practice? It's like, that's what you, like, you deal with these kids and the parents, and it's like, I can't guarantee you outcomes, okay? but we can prepare to do our best while we got you there. So I like tournaments for the simple fact that not only does it help students, but it helps you help coach the parents too. You know, it's one of those things to where half the problems are not with the students. Okay, have we ever noticed that?
Problems are the parents.
Exactly. Majority of the problems are the parents, that the kid lost, they didn't see a point. It's like, relax. This is a spring tournament, like karate tournament. We're not talking like the UFC or.
They didn't win anything like
exactly.
Genuinely.
They're not. Trophy. They're not. This isn't $1 million fight. They didn't lose $1 billion because they didn't get a point called. It's like, relax. Okay, it's a tournament. Okay, compete. Just compete. If you lose, you lose. If you win, you win. But compete. You got to compete, and that's I think, you know, for me, you know, with getting up there in like age and rank and all that stuff, I don't really compete too much in tournaments anymore. But I remember for like 15 years straight, I would go compete and get my ass whooped half the time. Yeah, and it's like, all right, well, that sucked. Let's try again. And, you know, then you'd have people that would compete all the time and they'd win all the time. And you'd be like, sons of bitches, like, my shit looked just as good as yours. Why did you win? But it's even if you lose or you win, it doesn't matter. It's like you have to go out there as an instructor. You got to go out there and put on a good show. So,
you know, I think the difference for a lot of people when it comes to like competing in terms of sparring, I was just thinking about this when you're talking. There's two different levels of sparring that we do, though. Yeah. There's kickboxing sparring, like what we usually do on Saturdays. Then there's point sparring. Yeah. Sometimes you can get the first hit in, and that's the point that counts. But sometimes when you get the first hit in, it doesn't matter. Nope. Right? So I think a lot of people, they judge themselves too early.
Man, everybody spars different when you start calling points. Yep. When you start calling points, everybody gets rigid and stiff.
You're a little more conservative.
They're afraid to get hit.
Hey, that's the beauty. When you see somebody that's point sparring and they're loose and they're flowing still, like
that's a good sign that they know what they're doing.
Right. Yeah. I like point sparring too.
For sure.
Yeah, like you can't judge somebody off of their point sparring entirely. Sometimes you can. Like you'll look at somebody, you'll be like, okay, you know what? There's things I'm seeing that you're doing that's like, you're showing bad signs. Yeah. But when you see somebody spar, that's when you can really like get a good gauge on like their whole skill level.
And understand that there's a difference between sparring and fighting.
Right.
And there's a difference between fighting and like self-defense.
Right.
So there's like layers because, you know, you have your sparring that we do on Saturdays. Then you have your fighting like UFC. Mm-hmm. And then you have your like real fighting that you would be doing on the street.
Right.
Where it's like there's no rules and it's like I've got to win or I'm in big trouble type fighting. So, I mean, yeah, there's layers to all that stuff. So
it's an onion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. From Donkey. Or no, that's Shrek. Shrek said it was layers. Layers. And he says, why couldn't it be like parfait? There's layers in parfait. So, all right, last question is, do you have a book or something that you've read that's really kind of helped you throughout your career, whether it be like an inspirational martial arts book, like a business book, a motivational type book? Has there been something that you've read where it's like, man, that's really like resonated with me. I really like that book. Or, man, that's really helped me in my business. That like this book is awesome. Has anybody had like, Stephen, have you ever had a book like that?
Too many to name.
Too many? Well, what's your favorite one? Like, give us one.
Oh, I can give you a few, but I'm trying to tie them into like specifics. So obviously you have your big ones like 7 Habits, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Then you can have all the habit-esque books are really, really helpful because you can break down everything we do and turn it into something that works, something that you remember. You know, so I like equate certain like phrases or acronyms or like patterns in my forms to remember them, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I'm always going to do this. That's going to be the next step, and then I remember it. Gotcha. Makes it easy. But I think really you can go into a book that stands out to me that I read recently is The Execution Factor.
Okay.
This is a book just about getting things done, really. So taking that step, getting over any kind of hesitation that you might have, because there'll be days when it's like maybe this isn't what you wanted to do right now. Mm-hmm. But it's at the same time, time you come in, you take a step towards some inevitable goal that's going to be better than what you imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Eddie, what about you? Do you have a book or anything that you're like, man, I really like that, or like a biography that you've read?
I don't really read books.
Or listen to. I honestly listen to all mine, so.
I'm not really into like that stuff, so I don't really have anything.
I would challenge you to, what is it? I'll send you some. There's some really good books out there that make you think a lot, and that I think that would really interest you. Have you ever heard of a guy named Tim Grover?
No.
Okay, Tim Grover was Michael Jordan's personal trainer. Okay. Now you think Michael Jordan is like, Michael Jordan doesn't need a personal trainer. Yeah, he did. And Tim Grover was really, really good. He wrote a book called Relentless. I would either listen to it. I'd probably listen to it because that would probably be the easiest. I'd listen to that book like right away. It talks about how there's different levels of people that get things done and different levels of success with it. And yeah, you can take a lot of things away from that and like apply them right into the dojo right away. And it talks about winning. And then eventually he makes a book called Winning, which I'd recommend for you as well. So those will probably be the two that I'd probably start with to set you on your journey of like reading. Because I was never a big reader also. I recently just started to like really get into it, I'd say about 10 years ago. Okay. Because if you're like, oh, do you like to read? I'd be like, hell no.
Give me a movie.
Exactly. Dude, I'll watch a movie instead. But yeah, ever since I really started like allowing myself to like listen to the books, because like if you gave me an actual book, I will not read it. Okay. Why? Because I have what's called dyslexia and a reading writing disability. So reading for me is very labor intensive. So it's not fun. It's like work. And if I try to read, like I'll read a page and it'll take me like 10 minutes. And then all of a sudden I'll be like, I can't remember what I read. And I got to go reread it. And all of a sudden you read and you start getting tired and you're like, dude, this book sucks. And you throw it away and you don't even try anymore. So it's like, I'll buy a physical book, but I won't read it because I won't retain what I need out of it. I'll listen to a book all day long though. So if you're like, I don't like reading, I challenge you to listen to the book. It's like when you're in your car and you're driving to the dojo or picking up leads or whatever, dude, listen to as many books as you can. It's great. Okay, I promise you. So, Martine, what do you got as far as a book?
It's funny that you brought up the whole dyslexia thing.
Uh-huh.
Because I've taken tests and stuff like that, and I have it too.
Yeah.
I have a hard time retaining information on when I read it.
Yeah.
As a kid, like I always had a hard time reading. Like they put me in special classes to help me with reading.
Yeah.
And I didn't quite understand why, because I was like, so I'm just reading. But they put me in classes with kids who speak Spanish. That's how bad my reading was when I was younger.
Yeah.
Like, it's messed up.
Yeah.
And I ended up just reading a lot more. And by the time I was going to high school, like I was in 8th grade or something like that, I was reading at a college level.
Really?
Yeah, so I made sure to like work on that aspect. So when it comes to the like reading, I do still to this day have to read something like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
5 times even before I can fully like, okay, remember it and commit it to memory.
Mm-hmm.
Memorization and just spelling, like I know how to, like sometimes I'll try to type something out and I can't, like my brain just doesn't process that it's wrong. So then I have to go back, read it, and I do it again. But on to the books. There's this one book I'm reading right now. It's I haven't finished it. I'm only on the first. It's called A Phase. A Phase. But it's from David Goggins.
Okay.
And it's Never Finished, I think it is. And essentially what it is, it's a lot of people call them self-help books.
Yeah.
I don't really like self-help books because they always have this like 12-step program into like, well, this is how you do this, and this is what you'll do next, and then do this, and then do that. I don't like those things. This book is more just like, you know what? This is the truth behind why certain things are happening. And we're going to get you to the bottom of it. So like the first phase was responsibility, and like stop putting your responsibility onto other people. And sometimes we just do that unknowingly, but I know that I've done that before, and I used to do it all the time. So now like I look at that book and I think like, okay, who's in charge of this? Is it me in charge, or am I putting it off on somebody else? And if I'm putting it on somebody else, is their mess up, or is that now my mess up? So that part of the book has helped me a lot. But the other part that has helped me a lot is the second phase, and it's just doing it, essentially, is the idea.
Yeah.
So like it works in the mornings, because sometimes I have a hard time waking up in the morning.
Yeah.
So if I have a hard time waking up and I don't want to get out of bed, I'll grab my phone and I'll say into the microphone on the phone all the reasons why I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, there's this reason, there's this reason, there's this reason, there's this reason. And I'm like, okay, these are all the reasons. I play it back as soon as I get done recording, and it makes me sound like such a little like bitch about it. And I'm like, oh my God, I sound like such a little, I just hate it.
Yeah.
Then I get up and do it.
Yeah.
Right? So just telling myself in a microphone, like, hey, these are all the things I don't want to do. And then listening to myself back about it, I'm like, God, you sound like such a little, like, just weak.
They
Don't
call
do
that they call that your inner bitch voice.
Exactly.
And
so
you don't want to let that win.
and exactly. So now that I've been doing that, I find it a lot easier to get up, easier to do things I don't want to do.
Yeah.
You know, and just ultimately just helping me with that. I'm only on the second phase.
Phase.
But I don't move on from either of the chapters until I've
feel
figured
like you
that
got
out.
that one out.
Or like, okay, this is how you do it. Now that I know how to do it, I need to apply it.
Gotcha.
Once I've applied it long enough, then I'll read the next part. Then there's this other book I'm reading. It's more for like my hobby, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
It's called Pendulum Ink. And what it is just basically a bunch of techniques of like writing and emceeing and different things like that, and rapping ultimately.
Yeah.
Like it just has like a bunch of different techniques and different things you can do.
Interesting.
Like there's these things called safety pinning, where it's you put a rhyme at the start of the sentence and at the end of the sentence, and then it starts over again at the beginning of the next sentence. Then it keeps going like that. So
Interesting.
let's see. Biggie does it a lot. He's one
Okay.
that does it a lot. Way back when I had the red and black lumberjack, now I got the hat to match. Remember rapping through the hard. Never thought the hip hop would make it this far. Now I'm in the limelight because I rhyme tight. Time to get paid, blow up like the world trade. That's a safety pin. So limelight because I rhyme tight.
Okay.
Time to get paid, roll up like the world trade.
Yeah.
Those two parts rhyme, and
Uh-huh.
that's a safety pin. Like putting a rhyme at the beginning and the end, so it kind of like pushes it together.
Gotcha.
It's the coolest
okay.
thing in the world, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
No, that's
another book I'm reading.
I would have never looked at it that way. You know, because a lot of times you just hear it and you just hear the words and you hear the flow.
Right.
You don't actually think there's actual quote unquote techniques.
There's a
when it comes
lot of
to-
techniques to it.
Yeah.
One of my favorite rappers of all time. Then I'll let Nick go. Sorry, but I geek out about this kind of stuff. But his name's Tretch from Naughty by Nature.
Yeah.
Tretch. I was showing Nick him yesterday, and I was like, "Dude, listen to this guy," and he was like,
That's good.
"What?"
Yeah.
And he does like a whole like 10 bars of just S words, or it's nothing but S words. So
Really?
he's rhyming S words all the way through. It's the
Interesting.
craziest thing in the world. It's cool. But
Yeah. Trent, he was married to T-Boz, wasn't he?
I believe so. He's
Yeah.
He divorced now. And stuff
Yeah.
like
obviously
that,
they're not still together.
but
Some good old
Tretch
TLC.
from Naughty. He was great.
Yeah. Trench was a way good.
OPP man.
Yeah. That was a good song. All right, Nick. What kind of book you got going on?
I don't read.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just probably when I was a kid. It's tough to stay on task, and usually just puts me to sleep.
Yeah. Well, I hear that.
There's
Here's-
audiobooks too, but I mean, still, I just can't really. I mean, I guess it's something if I'm really interested in, because I'd like read. I mean, to most people it'd be boring, but I'd read like philosophy and stuff, and like that's keeps my attention because I guess just because I'm into it. But,
So you like those books that have like all the
Just
Bruce
learn-
Lee quotes and like
well, just learning about stuff and just more it could even be scientific, science, philosophy in those realms. But like for help like in the business and stuff, I just listen and pretty much do what Master Martin says.
yeah. Well, I mean, he's a good
'Cause he's
he's a
got
great
lot of-
resource to draw from.
Yeah, and like Master Lynn will tell us some things to look at and stuff, and I'll look at those. But like as for books though, no, I just can't. It's just not something. But I mean, I definitely pick up what I am advised. 'Cause,
Yeah,
you know,
dude, I would definitely get into the Audible stuff because I'm with you, man. Like an actual picking up a book and reading it will put me to sleep faster
like
than anything.
I'm like addicted to music, but I mean, still the audio, I just can't. I can't just focus on it. I don't know. It's still challenging.
I would do it this way. I would pick a book that is interesting, but it's more background noise.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's like all of a sudden you're listening to it, but you're not fixated on it.
Yeah.
And that's why I like to listen to them in cars, because when you're driving, dude, you can't just be like fully focused on the book.
But I feel like I still wouldn't even retain it, even if it was background.
Honestly, you will a lot more.
Subconsciously,
You will a lot more than you realize you do. Because I was the same way. I was like, dude, if I dude, I can't just listen to this thing the whole time. And also, next thing you know, you start spouting all this shit that you didn't even know you had. You're like, oh my God, I guess I was listening. But a cool book that you would probably like, where it talks about like science and, you know, philosophy and this and that. I believe it was a book written by a psychologist about Batman and all the Batman villains. And like he basically diagnoses all of them like a psychiatrist. And it's like, this is why they have these types of problems. This is this. I'll send you the book. It's crazy.
Send me that book too.
Yeah,
that sounds fire.
It's
that
crazy.
sounds
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Saw
And
the
they,
Last Ronin over there.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, you guys like
Exactly.
some good books.
exactly. So yeah, it's a really interesting read for the simple fact that it almost sounds like a college lecture. But they're telling you like, cause I mean, I obviously like superhero stuff and this and that and Batman. And it's like, the reason why Batman is the way he is, and like, you know, why the death of his parents causes him to think this, and the reason why he hurts people but he doesn't kill people, and like they go into all of that stuff, and you're like, really, somebody had the time to actually do this? Like, okay,
Yes,
but
and he was
whatever.
paid handsomely for it.
Yeah, exactly. So that'd be a cool one to just like when you're gaming, just put that on in the background, dude. You'll remember more of that shit than you realize. For reals.
All of a sudden, he'll be telling me why the Riddler's crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
Be like, hey,
oh,
dude, did
man,
you know the
Eddie-
Riddler
Eddie's
was
showing
like
signs
this?
of this.
We'll
Yeah.
line each other up and sparring, and
Yeah.
he'll be like, "Yeah, man. So you know, Killer Croc."
Yeah. Here, so yeah, it's crazy. I'm telling you, I'll send you the link, or I'll send you the cover, all that stuff. But it was wild. It's been a while since I've listened to it, but I was like, I didn't think that book was going to go that way at all. But I was like, I'm glad it did, because it was pretty cool. So, one of the coolest books I've read that's honestly helped me a lot with just not only the dojo, but just like everything in general. And it sounds so cheesy. It sounds like one of those like QVC like midnight special, like, hey, if you buy now, you blah blah blah. It's called How to Make People Like You in 90 Seconds or Less, or How to Read People in 90 Seconds or Less. It's by Nicholas something. I can't remember his last name. Again, it's on Audible, but they teach you, or they tell you techniques to allow you to see how people learn. Okay, and that's helped me a lot with teaching, because you know how everybody, you know, gets taught differently. Some people are like visual learners, some people are audio learners, some people are like physical learners. So that book like helped me a lot with learning how to teach people, because it tells you to ask people questions and then look at their eyes. Okay, so if I said, hey, like, what's your favorite color shirt? And you ask somebody like, hey, what's your favorite color shirt? And you ask them that, and you look at them, and you look them at their eyes. If their eyes look to the sides, they're trying to hear what that shirt would sound like.
Huh.
And if they look up, they're trying to see or visualize what that shirt looks like. And if they look down, they're trying to feel what that shirt would feel like. So if you're talking to people and you ask them like a question where they got to quote unquote think about it, if they look up, they're visual learners. So then you try to paint pictures for them. Okay, if they look to the side, they're audio learners. Then you got to talk them through it. Okay, if they look down, they want to feel it. So you got to like demonstrate on them. If you know those people that are like, I don't understand, then you do the technique on them. They're like, okay, I got it.
I don't understand a roundhouse kick. Blast them in the head.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like that was probably one of the coolest things I've ever learned
pretty
out of a
cool.
book, because then you can be like, okay, now I know how to talk to you. And if I can talk to you, I can get through to you more. If I can get through to you more, like possibilities are endless at that point. So that's one I thought was one of the coolest things that I've learned. And then they also teach you other things. They're called like what's its. A what's it is something. It's our logo. So if you wear your logo around, how many people have asked you what that is?
Plenty.
Yeah, that's a what's it. Be like, what's that? So if you ever want somebody to talk to you, you wear something that forces them to talk to you.
Yep.
So it'd be like,
makes
oh
sense.
God, what is that? You know, or maybe it's like a hat. Like Eddie's hair is a what's it? Like, damn, dude, look at Eddie's hair, man. That's a conversation starter. You know, he's got really poofy, cool hair, by the way. Nobody can see it yet, and it's under a hood. So
You can still see it under the hood.
you really can. Have you seen that guy online where he wears a hood everywhere? Then all is like going to do something, and he pulls his hood off, and his fro goes like 8 feet in the air. Have you seen that? I mean, obviously it's
Do you draw
not
inspiration?
literally 8 feet, but it gets up there. So, but yeah, no, that's honestly a really cool book to just have conversations with people. And when you talk to people, here's another cool thing about it. You point out something specific. Okay.
I really like your nails.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Like, oh man, your hair looks really cool today. Is that blue? Do I see a blue streak in your hair? Or like, oh man, you got really red hair. That's awesome. Like random something. Be like, oh dude, your shoes are cool, man. Where'd you get those? Like you point out one thing, one specific thing, and people will remember you for that. Well, they'll be like, dude, you talked about my shoes the last time. You're like, I did.
I was there for that.
Yeah. And it's like simple things like that. So like when you're talking with parents, like pay attention to what they're wearing and be like, oh man, that looks really good. What, man, is that a new shirt? And that shirt looks really good on you. You know, just a little compliment. And just those 3 things, man, you can do anything with those. It's really neat. And the whole what's it thing. How many times have you guys changed something in the dojo and all the students lose their mind? Like, this is different.
Yeah,
the
that has
dojo's
happened
different.
before. I moved the kicking shields literally just a couple feet over.
And
Oh my
everybody
God, you moved
notices
You moved the
that.
shields. The dojo looks bigger.
Yeah. It's
Oh.
like, that's a what's it.
Yeah, okay.
Like, that happened. What's happening? So, yeah. Integrity.
What is? How do you spell that? The guy came from Murray. Leave him alone.
Integrity.
Like
Integrity.
parents will be like, hey, you know that spelled wrong. I'm like, yeah, I do.
I always point out the bad in us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like, thanks.
They don't
Gee,
even tell us the banner was cool. It's just like, oh, that's spelled wrong. It's like, thank you.
It's funny when you say turgity. I instantly went to South Park.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
Integrity. When it says Stan Marsh owns a weed farm, and he calls it Tegrity instead of integrity.
Tegrity?
Tegrity weed.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we put a little bit of integrity, but no. Yeah, isn't that funny how when you have one thing wrong, like Master Martin talked about that with
he just talked about it.
yeah, with Albert Einstein.
Yeah.
You know, I've heard that story before, but it's so true. So true.
You could do
is
9
so
things
true,
right,
yeah.
and on that 10th one, you mess up the last one, and everybody's all of a sudden,
Everybody-
you messed up. You made a
Yep.
mistake. Don't ever point out the good in you. They'll always
Yep,
point out the bad first.
and that's what they'll remember you on.
Right.
They'll never remember you on your good things. They'll always remember you on your bad things.
Right.
So you always want to make sure that, or we always want to make sure that our bad things are like people's everyday good things.
Right.
It's like they can't tell the difference.
Right.
So, but well, that's kind of the show for today. We appreciate you guys spending some time to come and chat with us a little bit. You guys are basically the ending episodes for season 2.
Wow.
True Talk.
Give it a clap, give it a clap,
Yeah,
give it a
everybody
clap, give it a
clapping.
clap.
Very good. So next episodes we'll be starting, because we'll probably end up breaking this down into a 2-parter as well. So you guys will be the ending of season 2, and the next people we have in will be the starting of season 3. So it's been quite a interesting experience talking to people and listening to their stories and just seeing how the show's kind of morphed into something else. And it's funny because we talked about, like, there's probably a good reason we've never listened to our first few episodes, because they were probably awful. And if
I
we
listened
listen
to your guys' first few episodes. The first episode, it's like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's like, it was so bad, and it's like, oh my God, thank God we didn't listen to it, or we'd be like, we need to
we can't keep going.
we just need to stop this right
We
away.
gotta
So
start somewhere.
exactly, everybody's got to start somewhere, and it's always usually bad. But
Right.
yeah, we appreciate you guys taking the time out from. I know your guys' very busy schedules to come chat with us a little bit and kind of share us your experiences and what you guys got going on. I did want to kind of leave it up like just a couple minutes to have you guys kind of say what's going on with you guys, what you guys got going on in the future. If there's anything you want to shout out, like, please go ahead to give a shout out to something. So like, Nick, you got anything that you want to shout out or talk about that's coming up?
It's funny. It's always going to be, for me at least, it's always going to be work related. But I mean, that's not bad because
No.
I love what I do, and
Yeah.
it's, I think it's something that a lot of other people probably wish they could do.
Absolutely. There's a lot of people that wish they were in your shoes.
Yeah. So we have the tournament coming up, and
Yep.
not just the Utah tournament, but then the Vegas tournament after that.
Vegas is Memorial
And I'll
Weekend. That'll be
planning
a
on
good
going
time.
with that, so
Yeah, you didn't make the last few. You're going to this one?
Yeah,
Nice.
I'll be going to this one. Yeah.
Very good. Who you guys going to go watch in the studio?
Probably,
is it Eddie's
Eddie,
this time?
Unless he wants to go too, and I don't know if Mass Barn will just close the dojo that day, or he'll just.
Well,
I
sure.
don't know.
Probably
Who knows?
put Donovan or something.
Yeah, probably Donovan or something. But, and then, oh yeah, other than that, it's just growing the dojo.
Growing the
Just,
dojo?
Yeah, probably have to.
If you're in the West Shore area, please check these guys out. I mean, they've
and,
got.
well, and with that too, I do have a YouTube as well.
Oh yeah, we've
There's
got the YouTube channel,
sure.
Yeah, it's TruMotion MA.
TruMotion MA on YouTube.
Link in description.
Yeah, we'll put the link in the description for sure. You're spearheading that one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the one that's posting all the videos, and
Yeah.
you're getting some good traction on him too,
Oh
right?
yeah. First couple of them had a few thousand. And
Yeah.
then some of the I don't know, it's sporadic. It's just
Yeah.
weird how the how it goes.
Yeah, how people see it.
Yeah, but I'll probably hopefully be able to do a good tournament one.
Nice.
But I'll be judging, so I don't know. I'm gonna have to probably relay someone else to do it.
There you go. But yeah, no, that's true. I mean, we've got a lot of cool stuff coming up. Make sure you hit the YouTube channel because I mean, True Motion's True Motion, so it's good for everybody.
I'm all watching these clips right now.
There you go.
Talking about it. That's fire.
Well, and I guess something else. I guess it'd be going to. Martin
Yeah,
here. I'd be going to
Martin.
his event tonight. So
Martin's got a
I'm done with
special
the last
event.
one. That's pretty good.
I'm not a rapper.
He killed the other guy. I thought you did pretty good. So.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. So Martin, let us know a little bit about what you got going on tonight, man.
Tonight, so it's kind of funny. I like it because it reminds me a lot of martial arts. It's a rap battle.
Yeah, it's verbal sparring.
It's verbal sparring, man. You say some crazy things and you have to know how to work around it. So that's pretty
Yep.
fun. It's a little different than what most people do, but I've been doing it since I was 13. So
There you go.
whatever hobby I end up taking up, I always try to become super good at it.
There you go.
I just have an infatuation with being the best self when it comes to things. And I always tell myself, like, hey, like you could do better than you did last time.
Yeah,
So I always feel like I'm evolving too. So it's always just a new test for me to like,
Mhm.
okay, get better. But
Yeah.
yeah, I do rap battles every now and then. Rap battles are pretty cool. If you don't know what that is, check out a guy named Pat Stay. RIP to Pat Stay. He was a great battle rapper, one of the best to ever do it. Eminem used to battle rap
Yep.
all the time too. For those that don't know, when you start rapping, like back in the old days, battling was part of rapping.
yeah.
Like you had to know how to like Biggie talks about it.
Mhm.
For you to be a rapper, you had to know how to battle too. And I think that's just a lost art, So I like doing it. We have them here locally. The league in Utah is actually growing pretty big. We're having the biggest event of Utah's history tomorrow and today, so it's a 2-day event.
Oh, I didn't know it was a 2-day.
Yeah,
event.
today is going to be just a free one for the general public to come check it out, and then tomorrow is going to be a really huge one that has battlers that are world-renowned battlers. They are not even just country, local,
Really?
or anything like that. These guys have millions of views in our country, other countries. They battled out of country. They've done these big things. One of the guys, Marv One, he's actually battled Eminem on the 8 Mile movie.
Really?
So he's actually a pretty big deal in terms of that. There's guys like Rum Nitty, Av, Holmesy the God, Real Deal. All those guys, they have millions and millions and millions of views.
Yeah.
They have 2 female battlers that are really good female battlers. One's 40 bars and the other one's Fendi. So, these girls, they're really good at the art too. So, it's just it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It's just like anything
I know
else.
the ones at Liquid Joe's is tomorrow at the same place.
The big one?
Yeah.
The big one's at another place called ICW
Okay,
Event
I was going to
Center.
say, I didn't think the big one would be at Liquid
No,
Joe's.
the big one's going to be over somewhere else, but
Okay.
this one, if it's a free event,
Yeah.
we're just going to throw it at somewhere that's a little easier. So.
Yeah, a little local
But yeah,
place.
it's a cool thing, so I'm doing that. That's pretty big. I have a battle coming up it's kind of crazy to say because nobody knows about it. I have a battle coming up in Long Beach next month. The league is sending me out there to represent
Oh,
our
really?
league.
So I know you were talking about if you won this one, you were going out, but you're already going out?
Yeah, so I'm going out to that one for another tournament.
Okay.
That one's going to be a tournament out there. That's just a 1-day event. And then I have the one here. That's also another. I'm going to be in 2 tournaments at the same time.
Okay.
So I'm going to be riding a lot.
So you're going to
but-
be creating so much drama in
Yeah,
the
you're gonna
LBC?
I have to figure out a schedule for that so I can do all the stuff. Maybe my mornings are now dedicated to writing, but
There you go.
yeah. So just that kind of stuff. It's cool. They got the tournaments coming up. Vegas in May, ours in April. And just the rest of the year is going to be action packed, full of cool things, man.
Yeah, we
Whether
got a
it
lot
be
of stuff
battle rap
going
or
on.
martial arts. So, you know, I'm blessed to have the life I have, you know. And shout out Master Martin for giving us all these opportunities, man, to do cool things, you know. Like,
absolutely.
if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be doing this, at least myself. So
That's very true. Very, very
shout
true.
out Master Martin.
All right, Eddie, what do you got going on, man?
Probably just soccer games coming up, and that's it.
Are you still playing? Or are you planning on going? Or
No, I just play Sunday league, so I just play with average people.
average people? You know, low.
The police.
He
I
plays
play with
with
humans.
He plays with normal humans.
Yeah.
You know.
It's
Okay.
always-
So you're back in like kind of like a men's league, or
Oh no, I've been playing since I stopped technically playing after.
so you never really stopped playing.
Yeah, technically.
Once you heal up, you're like back on the field.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hey, you know what? It's really good to stay active into something, and you know, Master Lenton told me something a long time ago, and it's made a lot of sense. And all three of you guys do it already. You just don't. Maybe you realize it, maybe you don't realize it. But when your hobby becomes your career, you need to find a new hobby. Okay, because you all got into this because you loved martial arts, and it's like, oh, it's my hobby at first, but no, now it's your career. So when your hobby becomes your career, you need to find a new hobby. So it's like you've still got your soccer going on, you got your rap battles going on, you've got your streaming and your gaming going on. And it's like you guys unknowingly have always had something else going on. You just may not have looked at it like that. But it's like you can't continue to look at this as like your hobby because it's not anymore. It's like it's your career. So yeah, so good for you to like keep playing soccer and all that stuff, and you know, show us lowly humans what it's like to be, you know, a god amongst the field. Be like, oh, do you see this ball? Would you like to play with it? No, it's mine. I'm gonna take it wherever I want now. So, well, Stephen, you got any plans coming up, or anything specific coming up in your realm?
Nothing really to shout out.
Yeah. Yeah, he likes to.
I got a couple new merch designs though that have dropped, so
Yes,
I need to
honestly,
get that QR code out.
Excited for the merch, yeah.
he's got some killer stuff in the works, man, for sure.
Some
Like,
bah.
Yeah.
maybe we'll show you a couple of
Well, some
designs
of the
before
first
he
things
leaves.
I saw with like the animal ones.
Yeah.
I thought the animal ones are pretty cool.
Yep. And we got one behind you. I don't know if you saw that one.
Banger management?
Yeah.
That's pretty nice.
We tried to not make it look like the
Empowerment fist.
the Marxist fist, but you know, it is what it is. It's supposed to be the Hulk fist.
Oh,
Yeah.
fire.
Yeah. Martial arts power, you know, all that stuff. But
Go Power
yeah, exactly. But no, yeah, again, appreciate you guys' time.
Hey, shout out you guys for having us on and doing
Yeah.
something like this. This takes a lot of like not just courage but consistency.
Definitely,
the fact that you guys have been doing it for that long.
Stephen and I have talked
a lot
about
of
that, and
episodes.
it's like, man, I don't know how. It's fun. Like, truthfully, it's fun sitting here
Yeah.
and talking with people about cool stuff, and like most people don't have conversations anymore.
Right.
So it's like I love having conversations with people, and like I don't even care where the topic goes.
Especially with this, I feel like it's it's a good brand. It's what we do and stuff.
Yeah,
So I think,
you just want to add value to TruMotion,
yeah. I think,
and it's
yeah.
like that's the main thing. It's like we want to try to make this as big as possible, and if we can reach people through the podcast, fantastic. You know, the podcast isn't on here to be like, oh, let's see if we can become like the next New Heights with like the Kelsey brothers and this and that. It's like, no, we're not professional athletes. So it's like we run a dojo and we teach martial arts. Let's talk about some cool stuff.
Right.
So, and one of the things that not only do I love about TruMotion is, and I remember, do you remember the movie? I believe it's called Kingdom of Heaven. It was from Ridley Scott. It's got Orlando Bloom in it, and it's about the Crusades. And Liam Neeson's in it for a little bit. There's this scene at the beginning of the movie where there's this carving in a wall, and this guy doesn't know how to read it, and he goes, "What does that say?" And Orlando Bloom's character says, "It's what man is a man if he does not make the world a better place?" And it's like, oh damn, like I like that, and it's like truly, like, what man is a man if he doesn't try to make the world a better place? Because that's our job, is to make our situation better for the next generation. You know, that's the point of like men and parenting and people, and by trying to build better people, That's how we make the world a better place. And that it takes everybody to get to that spot. If we can make everybody the best version of themselves, like what kind of world would we be living in? Like that's kind of the things that I think about. So, but yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun. We'd love to have. We'll definitely have you guys on again.
Absolutely.
It was great conversations. I appreciate it. I also want to give a big shout out to Shanna, my wife Shanna. She actually finally got us on Apple.
We have nothing else to complain about anymore.
Yeah, we are finally on Apple Podcasts. So these episodes will be on Apple Podcasts. Thank you, Shanna, for. I don't even know how she figured it out. She got frustrated with it and then stopped it, and then all of a sudden she's like, I got it. And I was like, oh, great. I didn't know you were still working on it. So
Good for you guys, man.
yeah, so make sure you check us out on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, everywhere you listen to your local podcast stuff. But again, West Jordan Grew, thanks for kicking it with us.
Thank you so much.
Make sure to kick it with us next time, guys. Have a good day.
Kick it with us next week. Bye, everyone.